Ladies and gentlemen, let me share something with you today, something to keep close as you walk this journey called life. The world is full of good people, bad people, and everything in between. But there are three kinds of people you should never, and I mean never, put your trust in. These aren't just warning signs, they're flashing lights with sirens blaring. First, beware of the people who talk but don't walk. They're smooth talkers, quick to promise the moon and stars, but when it's time to show up, they're nowhere to be found. Their words sound good, but their actions never match. They'll tell you they've got your back, but when the weight gets heavy, you'll realize you were carrying it alone all along. Trust isn't built on what people say, it's built on what they do. Second, steer clear of those who thrive on tearing others down. You know the type, the ones who always have something negative to say about someone else. If they gossip to you, they'll gossip about you. These are people who live in the shadows, and trust me, nothing good grows in the dark. They feed on envy and insecurity, and if you let them in, they'll drain the light right out of you. And finally, don't trust the people who only show up when the sun is shining. Oh, they'll be there when times are good, when the champagne is flowing and the spotlight is on. But let the storm clouds roll in, and they'll disappear faster than you can blink. True friends, real allies, they're the ones who grab an umbrella and stand with you in the rain. Trust is earned through action, not words. People who talk a lot but never follow through are dangerous to your peace. Watch what they do, not what they say. Beware of those who gossip and criticize. If someone thrives on bringing others down, they'll do the same to you. Trust is built on integrity, not negativity. Fair weather friends are not real friends. People who only show. Trust is a foundation that cannot be built on words alone, it requires action. Words are easy, they flow effortlessly, often wrapped in promises and assurances that sound sweet to the ear. But actions require commitment, follow-through, and integrity. They reveal the truth about a person, stripping away the facade that words can so easily create. When someone tells you they'll be there for you, it's not the words that matter, it's whether they show up when it counts. Think about it. How often do people say, "I've got your back," or "You can count on me," only to disappear the moment things get tough? It's easy to say the right things when the stakes are low, but when the weight of responsibility comes crashing down, that's when the truth reveals itself. Trust isn't about what someone promises in the light of day, it's about what they deliver in the darkest hour. This is especially true in relationships, whether personal or professional. Imagine you're in a partnership, be it romantic, business, or friendship, and the other person constantly makes promises they don't keep. Maybe they say they'll meet a deadline and miss it every time. Maybe they tell you they'll be there for an important event but never show up. Over time, those broken promises pile up, creating a wall of disappointment and resentment. You begin to realize that their words hold no weight, and without action to back them up, trust crumbles. Actions, on the other hand, are undeniable. They speak louder than any words ever could. When someone shows up for you, supports you, or fulfills a promise, they're not just telling you they care, they're proving it. It's in the little things: the friend who remembers your important day without being reminded, the colleague who steps in to help without being asked, the partner who follows through on their commitments no matter how small. These actions, consistent over time, are the building blocks of trust. But here's the catch: it takes time to discern who truly walks the talk. People often put on their best face when you first meet them. They'll say all the right things to win your trust. It's only when you observe their actions over time that you begin to see their true character. Do they keep their word when it's inconvenient? Do they prioritize their promises to you even when life gets busy? Or do they let excuses pile up like loose change? There's a simple way to protect yourself from misplaced trust. Don't give it too easily. Pay attention to patterns, not one-off moments. Everyone can slip up occasionally, we're all human, but consistent behavior is what matters. If someone consistently fails to follow through, Believe what their actions are telling you, not what their words are promising. This principle doesn't just apply to individuals, it extends to organizations, leaders, and even ourselves. How often do we set goals or make commitments to ourselves and fail to follow through? Trust, even self-trust, is built through action. If you don't keep the promises you make to yourself, you chip away at your confidence. The same is true in reverse. Every time you follow through on a commitment, whether to yourself or others, you strengthen the foundation of trust. Life is too short and too precious to waste on people whose actions don't align with their words. Surround yourself with those who prove their loyalty, their care, and their integrity through consistent effort. And be that person for others too. Talk is cheap, but actions, they're priceless. Some people find power in tearing others down. They thrive on gossip, criticism, and negativity, spreading their words like wildfire, leaving destruction in their wake. These are the individuals you must avoid because their actions reveal a deeper truth: they are not to be trusted. If someone habitually tears others down behind their backs, you can be certain they will do the same to you. Gossipers live in a world of insecurity. They use words as weapons to undermine others, often to elevate themselves. When they share juicy tidbits about someone else's life or decisions, they present it as harmless chatter, but it's far from innocent. Gossip is a reflection of character. It reveals not only how someone treats others, but also how they handle trust and confidentiality. The moment you hear someone bad-mouthing a mutual acquaintance, a colleague, or even a stranger, ask yourself this: what do they say about you when you're not around? The same goes for critics who never seem to find anything good in anyone or anything. They will nitpick, judge, and dissect others' lives, choices, and achievements, always focusing on the negative. These people often mask their behavior as honesty or a critical eye, but in truth, their constant negativity is a defense mechanism. They project their own insecurities onto others, using criticism to feel superior. If someone's first instinct is to find fault, it's not about you or the person they're criticizing, it's about them. When you allow these types of people into your life, their negativity seeps into your own mindset. It's like standing next to someone in the rain. Eventually, you'll get wet too. Gossip and criticism aren't just harmful to the subjects of the talk, they're toxic to everyone involved. They breed mistrust and unease, making you question what's being said when you're not in the room. Worse, they create an environment where you feel you have to defend yourself constantly, even if you've done nothing wrong. Another danger lies in the fact that gossipers and critics are often skilled manipulators. They know how to frame their words to make themselves seem like trustworthy confidants. They might start with phrases like, "I probably shouldn't say this, or I'm only telling you this because I care." These opening lines create a false sense of intimacy, drawing you into their web. But remember, the same person who shares someone else's secrets with you will likely share yours with someone else. There's also a subtler side to this. People who habitually gossip or criticize often try to bring others into their negativity, recruiting them as accomplices. They'll encourage you to join in, to agree with their complaints, or spread the latest rumor. This isn't just about damaging someone else's reputation, it's about controlling the narrative and keeping themselves at the center of attention. Once you engage, even passively, you become part of their toxic cycle. The best way to handle these people is to maintain firm boundaries. When someone tries to gossip, redirect the conversation or shut it down. You don't have to be rude, but you can make it clear you're not interested in that kind of talk. For instance, if they start criticizing someone, you can say, "I'd rather focus on the positives," or simply steer the conversation in a different direction. Over time, they'll realize you're not an easy target for their negativity. Lastly, reflect on how these interactions affect you. Do you feel uplifted or drained after spending time with someone? Do you feel inspired, or do you find yourself questioning your own trustworthiness because you've been drawn into their games? Pay attention to those feelings. They're often the clearest indicators of whether someone is worth keeping in your life. Trust isn't just about what people do directly to you, it's about how they operate in the world. If someone's default mode is to criticize and gossip, trust me, they're not building anything worth standing on. Fair weather friends are among the most unreliable people you'll encounter in life. They come into your life when the sun is shining, when everything is going smoothly, and when being around you requires little effort or sacrifice. They bask in the glow of your successes, enjoy the fruits of your hard work, and share in your joy. But when the skies darken and life's storms roll in, they're nowhere to be found. These are the people you should never trust because their loyalty is conditional, their presence fleeting, and their intentions self-serving. These types of individuals are often hard to spot at first. In the good times, they can seem like the best of friends. They're the ones cheering the loudest when you're celebrating, showing up to the parties, and offering support when it costs them nothing. They thrive in the light of your happiness because to them, it's an opportunity to share in your spotlight. But their true colors only reveal themselves when the applause dies down, the challenges arise, and you need them most. Imagine you're facing a difficult period, a financial setback, a career challenge, or a personal loss. You look around for support, only to find these fair weather friends have disappeared. They don't answer your calls, avoid your messages, or offer shallow excuses about being too busy. It's not that they've suddenly become unavailable, it's that they were never truly invested in your well-being. They were there for the good times, not for you as a person. This behavior is rooted in self-interest. Fair weather friends are drawn to situations where they can benefit without giving much in return. When you're thriving, they want to be associated with your success. They enjoy the perks of being in your circle, whether that's access to opportunities, shared resources, or simply the social capital of being connected to someone who's doing well. But when adversity strikes and there's no immediate benefit to sticking around, they vanish. Their loyalty was never to you, it was to the circumstances that made their life easier or more enjoyable. These relationships can be especially damaging because they often leave you feeling abandoned when you're at your most vulnerable. During life's tough moments, we all need people who will stand with us, lend a hand, or simply offer a listening ear. Fair weather friends, however, not only fail to provide that support, but also deepen your sense of isolation by their absence. Their departure reinforces the idea that you're alone, compounding the emotional weight you're already carrying. Recognizing fair weather friends requires attentiveness. Pay attention to patterns in their behavior. Do they only reach out when they need something or when things are going well for you? Are they quick to disappear when you face challenges or when you're not in a position to offer them anything in return? These patterns speak volumes about their intentions and reliability. Contrast this with true friends and allies, those who show up in both good times and bad. These are the people who don't hesitate to stand by you when things get tough, even if it's inconvenient or uncomfortable for them. They don't shy away from your struggles. Instead, they step in to help. Whether it's through practical support, emotional encouragement, or simply being present. Their loyalty isn't tied to your circumstances, it's tied to you. The most painful aspect of dealing with fair weather friends is the realization that you may have invested time, energy, and trust in a relationship that wasn't mutual. But this realization is also an opportunity. It's a chance to reevaluate who belongs in your inner circle and to prioritize relationships that are built on genuine care and reciprocity. Fair weather friends teach an important lesson. Not everyone who walks with you in the sun will stay with you in the rain. And while it may be disappointing to discover someone's lack of loyalty, it's far better to know who truly has your back than to waste energy on those who don't. Life is too precious to be spent chasing people who only show up when it's easy. Instead, focus on nurturing connections with those who will weather any storm by your side. Trust is a fragile thing. And one of the quickest ways to see it broken is by dealing with people who can't keep your confidence. These are the people who can't resist sharing your private matters with others, even after promising they wouldn't. They may come across as friendly, approachable, and trustworthy, but their actions reveal a dangerous flaw. They do not respect boundaries. These individuals often justify their behavior saying, "I was just trying to help," or "I didn't think it was a big deal." But make no mistake, betraying confidence is not just careless, it's a breach of trust that can have lasting consequences. Imagine this scenario: you confide in someone about a personal struggle, thinking they'll provide a listening ear or offer some support. Instead, you find out later that your private conversation has been shared with others, twisted into a story you barely recognize. The hurt from this betrayal isn't just about what was said, it's about the realization that someone you trusted didn't value your boundaries or respect your vulnerability. People who can't keep confidences often operate under the guise of being helpful or concerned. They might say they shared your information to get advice, or because they thought it was important. But these explanations are often thinly veiled excuses for behavior that is, at its core, disrespectful. Sharing someone else's private matters without their consent shows a lack of regard for their autonomy and their right to decide who knows what about their life. This breach of trust is not only damaging to your relationship with the person in question, but also to your ability to trust others in the future. Once you've been betrayed in this way, it's natural to feel guarded, questioning whether anyone else will truly respect your privacy. This hesitation can affect your friendships, your partnerships, and even your professional relationships. There's another side to this issue. Two people who spread others' secrets are often doing it for selfish reasons. Maybe they want to appear knowledgeable or important, thinking that by sharing private details they'll gain attention or status. Or perhaps they enjoy the drama that comes with gossip, using other people's lives as a source of entertainment. Regardless of the reason, their behavior is ultimately about them, not you. They prioritize their own interests over your trust and well-being, making it clear that they're not someone you can rely on. A key danger of this behavior is how quickly it can escalate. Once someone has shown that they can't be trusted with small matters, it's only a matter of time before they prove unreliable with bigger ones. Trust is built incrementally through countless small moments that demonstrate reliability and respect. But once that trust is broken, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild. So how do you protect yourself from these individuals? The first step is to pay close attention to how they talk about others. Do they frequently share stories or secrets that aren't theirs to tell? If someone is willing to gossip about someone else's private matters, you can be sure they'll do the same with yours. Another red flag is when someone constantly seeks validation for their actions, even when those actions cross boundaries. This self-justification is a sign that they lack awareness or concern for the impact of their behavior. When you encounter someone like this, it's important to establish boundaries. Be selective about what you share with them, and don't be afraid to address the issue directly if they cross the line. Sometimes, simply letting them know that you value your privacy can make a difference. But if their behavior persists, it's worth considering whether they deserve a place in your inner circle. Your private matters are yours to share or not. Trust is a gift, not something to be taken lightly. Surround yourself with people who understand this, who treat your confidences with the care and respect they deserve. In doing so, you'll create a space where trust can grow, where your vulnerability is honored, and where your relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. Life is full of challenges, and the people you surround yourself with can make all the difference when times get tough. Among those people, the ones you should never trust are those who lack accountability. These individuals avoid responsibility for their actions, shift blame onto others, and refuse to acknowledge their mistakes. At first glance, they might seem harmless, but their unwillingness to take ownership can create chaos and erode trust in ways that are both subtle and devastating. Accountability is the cornerstone of trust. It's not about being perfect, everyone makes mistakes. But when someone consistently refuses to take responsibility for their actions, they show a lack of integrity and reliability. You'll notice this in subtle ways at first. Maybe they'll brush off a missed deadline at work, blaming someone else for not reminding them. Or perhaps they'll hurt your feelings in a conversation and say, I didn't mean it that way, as if intent erases impact. Over time, these patterns reveal a deeper truth. They prioritize protecting their ego over maintaining honesty and trust. When someone refuses to take accountability, it's not just frustrating, it's damaging. In relationships, it creates a dynamic where you're left to carry the emotional or practical burden of their actions. For instance, if a friend borrows money and doesn't repay it, but instead makes excuses or acts like it's no big deal, they're leaving you to deal with the consequences of their lack of responsibility. In a workplace, a colleague who avoids accountability can derail projects, undermine team morale, and create a toxic environment where no one feels safe. People who avoid accountability often rely on deflection as their primary tactic. They'll point fingers at others, circumstances, or even you to avoid facing their own shortcomings. This deflection can be subtle, like shifting focus during a conversation, or blatant, like outright lying to escape blame. Over time, it becomes exhausting to deal with someone who refuses to own up to their role in a situation. Their actions or lack thereof erode trust, because you never know when they'll let you down or leave you holding the bag. This lack of accountability is often rooted in fear or insecurity. People who avoid responsibility are usually afraid of being judged or seen as flawed. They believe that admitting a mistake makes them weak or vulnerable, so they go to great lengths to maintain a facade of perfection. Unfortunately, in doing so, they not only harm their relationships, but also stunt their personal growth. Taking responsibility for mistakes is how we learn, improve, and build deeper connections with others. Another dangerous aspect of dealing with people who lack accountability is how they can make you doubt yourself. If you're consistently blamed for things that aren't your fault, or if they gaslight you into thinking their mistakes are your responsibility, it can erode your confidence and self-esteem. Over time, you might find yourself questioning your own perceptions and even taking on guilt that doesn't belong to you. This is not only unfair, but also deeply harmful to your mental and emotional well-being. It's crucial to recognize these patterns early and set boundaries with people who refuse to take responsibility. You can't force someone to be accountable, but you can protect yourself from the consequences of their behavior. This might mean calling them out when they try to shift blame, or it could mean distancing yourself from them altogether if their actions consistently undermine your trust. Surrounding yourself with people who value accountability creates an environment where trust can thrive and relationships can grow stronger. Accountability is more than just admitting mistakes. It's about being reliable, owning up to your actions, and making amends when necessary. When someone lacks this quality, they leave a trail of broken promises, unresolved conflicts, and damaged relationships. Trusting someone who refuses to take responsibility is like building a house on sand. It might stand for a while, but it will eventually collapse under the weight of their neglect. In every area of life, from friendships to professional settings, accountability separates those who are trustworthy from those who are not. People who own their actions, learn from their mistakes, and strive to do better are the ones who create strong, lasting bonds. Those who avoid responsibility, on the other hand, only create instability and disappointment. Recognize this early and prioritize accountability in the people you choose to keep close. It's a value that forms the backbone of trust, respect, and meaningful connection. In life, you'll come across people who tell you everything you want to hear. Their words are smooth, their compliments abundant, and their promises seem tailor-made to make you feel good. While it's natural to enjoy the company of those who flatter us, there's a significant danger in trusting someone who always agrees, always praises, and never challenges or contradicts you. These people, often described as yes men or flatterers, are not to be trusted. Their behavior isn't about supporting you, it's about manipulating you for their benefit or protecting their own interests. Flatterers thrive on saying what they think you want to hear, regardless of whether it's true. Their motivations vary. Some do it to gain favor, hoping that by appealing to your ego, they can secure a position of advantage. Others fear conflict or rejection, so they avoid expressing honest opinions, even when doing so would be in your best interest. Whatever their reasons, their behavior is deceptive, and the trust you place in them is often misplaced. One of the most dangerous aspects of trusting flatterers is that they create a false sense of security. Their constant agreement and praise can make you feel invincible, as if you can do no wrong. But this is an illusion. By surrounding yourself with people who won't give you honest feedback, you lose the opportunity to grow, learn, and improve. Constructive criticism, while sometimes hard to hear, is essential for personal development. Flatterers deny you that opportunity, leaving you blind to potential mistakes or weaknesses. In professional settings, this can be particularly damaging. Imagine being in a leadership role, surrounded by people who nod along to every decision you make, even when they know it's flawed. Their silence in the face of your mistakes isn't a mark of respect, it's a betrayal of their responsibility to be honest. As a result, you might make poor decisions, harming not only yourself but also your team or organization. Flatterers may avoid blame for these mistakes because they never actively opposed you, but their lack of honesty makes them complicit in your failure. In personal relationships, flattery can be just as harmful. A friend, partner, or family member who always agrees with you might seem supportive on the surface, but their behavior often masks a lack of genuine connection. True relationships are built on honesty, where both parties feel safe to express their thoughts, even when they differ. A flatterer avoids this depth of connection, opting instead to keep things superficial. Over time, this can lead to a sense of loneliness or mistrust, as you realize their words don't carry the weight of sincerity. Another danger lies in the motivations behind flattery. Often it's not about you at all, it's about them. A flatterer's goal is to gain something, whether that's your approval, your resources, or your influence. They might praise you excessively to gain access to opportunities, financial support, or social status. In this sense, their words are a tool for manipulation, not a reflection of genuine admiration or respect. It's also important to note that flatterers are often unreliable in times of adversity. When things are going well, they'll shower you with praise, making you feel like you're on top of the world. But when challenges arise, their true nature becomes evident. Because their loyalty was never to you, but to the benefits they receive from being around you, they're likely to distance themselves when the going gets tough. Their constant agreement and praise disappear the moment they no longer stand to gain anything from the relationship. To protect yourself from the harm caused by flatterers, it's crucial to pay attention to their behavior over time. Do they ever challenge you, even respectfully? Are they willing to disagree when they think you're wrong? Or do they always echo your opinions? Genuine people will support you, but they'll also be honest with you, even when it's uncomfortable. They understand that true loyalty involves helping you grow, not just keeping you happy. It's also worth considering how you respond to flattery. If you're drawn to people who constantly praise you, ask yourself why. Is it because their words make you feel validated? If so, remember that real validation comes from meaningful relationships built on mutual respect and honesty, not from empty compliments. Flatterers may seem harmless at first, but their behavior can undermine your confidence, your relationships, and your ability to navigate challenges. Trust those who speak the truth, even when it's difficult to hear, because their honesty is a sign of respect, care, and loyalty. In life, trust is a valuable yet fragile asset, and it's crucial to be discerning about who you place it in. Avoid those who manipulate, spread negativity, seek validation through flattery, or refuse to take responsibility for their actions. These individuals often act out of self-interest, leaving you vulnerable to hurt, betrayal, and disappointment. Surround yourself with people who are genuine, accountable, and trustworthy, as they will uplift, challenge, and support you in ways that foster growth, stability, and true connection. Trust, when placed wisely, becomes the foundation of strong, lasting relationships.